It was a kickoff show for WrestleMania weekend as Stand and Deliver goes down from Las Vegas, Nevada. A couple things to talk about coming out of this one. Well, let's just run through the card, shall we? Ricky Saints against All Ego Ethan Page for the North American Championship. Ricky was so over with this crowd. He got them really fired up for like 10 in the morning in Las Vegas, which is not an easy task after everything going down late on Friday night. As a match, it was good. It wasn't anything special, but it was good, which is kind of, I think, going to be a bit of the theme of day one out at WrestleMania. But this one was good. Like, it's not your traditional kind of opener because it's not like a fast paced, whoa, wow, look at these moves. This gets the crowd going. But I think the character Ricky Saints and him being there was enough to get that crowd fired up and be kind of the opener that you wanted that to be. And so, I mean, it's a testament to Ricky Saints and just how good he has been in his short time in WWE and how much of a connection he has with this audience. Eventually, Saints goes on to win this match, which I think was the right decision to be made. He's just getting going in this. He is perfect in the North American title picture right now. We had kind of talked on the preview show about how the main event picture is kind of lacking in NXT. Now, the result in the main event went a little bit differently than I thought. So, you're not losing a couple of guys, at least it doesn't seem like it right now. But still, it is a little bit on the weak side right now, the men's main event picture, and Ricky Saints certainly fits in there. So I thought that maybe he loses this and gives the title picture a bit of a jumpstart, but instead he's going to continue on as the North American champion. Tag team titles on the line, Fraxium against Hank and Tank. This match, this was the style of an opener that you were expecting from any kind of a wrestling show, right? Like, it's fast-paced, it is crazy. Like, Fraxium themselves, I think they have really found their style and really just a very entertaining group. And look, I said in the pre-show, I had made these guys my worst tag team of the year a couple of years ago because it was just like a randomly throw together. There's no personality. It was just kind of blah. But they have really found themselves now in this tag team division and got a heck of a match here. And Hank and Tank were there for every step of the way, right? Like, that dive onto the announce table was wild. And then the dive back in to break up the pinfall. I think sometimes it's cool when you have just kind of that shot zoomed in and you don't realize the guy who you thought was dead has come back and broken it up. But I thought it was cool that they kind of framed it so that you could see that guy back there making the run in and diving and breaking everything up. So I thought that was great. And this was where the crowd really gets into the match. I do think that Hank and Tank still have a little bit of refining to do, but they did take it to a whole new level in this match. They were great. This is easily the best performance of their career so far, and it's at the right time as they do win the NXT tag team titles. You have to think that this now means Fraxium makes their way to the main roster. We got the kind of dream match with the Hardys at some point. They don't really have a whole lot to do unless they are going to break them up and try a singles thing with both of them again. I think that this is the time that they move up, and there's some very interesting tag team matchups you could have with these guys on both Raw or SmackDown. The Women's North American Championship ladder match. This match was incredible. I think every performer in this match put on an excellent show, and it's one of those ones, we talk about it specifically this time of year, where just being in this match elevated each performer, and just now based off of how they did, right? Like, everyone is now elevated coming out of this match. I thought they did a phenomenal job. I did think at some point, we talked about it on the pre-show, I did think at some point it was going to come down to Zarya and Sol Ruca. I just thought that it would lead to then someone else winning. Instead, Sol does that. It looks like she's knocked down, does that flip, comes back up, kicks Zarya, and again, she hits a double Soul Snatcher. That move is just otherworldly, and to be able to pull that off as consistently as she does is really, really great. I think there's a lot of potential there, and I am loving that she is going to get this opportunity. And I do think that maybe this does eventually lead to a Zarya heel turn, which I think is probably the way to go, but I still think that there is high potential in this character no matter what you do with her. And like, honestly, every one of these performers could be on the main roster tomorrow, and I think they would all fit right in. I think just everyone in this match really did themselves proud and put on a hell of a show and really elevated their status with wrestling fans based off of how well they did in this match. Dark State against the Family, a solid match. Solid match. Dark State in a pretty good spot right now. Maybe we need to know a little bit more about the motivations or whatever, but still, everyone looked pretty impressive. As far as like opening debut things or whatever, I thought they were great. I kind of feel like if at some point we find out that there is another person who is the leader of this group or anything, it kind of makes them all take a step back. Like right now, they do kind of feel like high level potential guys. And I think if you brought in like a lot of people anticipating that maybe Stax is the one who is in charge of this group, or Trick Williams is the one who's kind of running things with this thing, then maybe like, okay, well now they have an established leader with them. But I do kind of feel like that almost puts a bit of a ceiling on what those guys can be. And like they all obviously have a look that they seem quite impressive in the ring anyway. So I think that might be putting a ceiling on some of these guys and just kind of let a leader develop out of this whole thing. The story of the match does pay off. You have initially that Tony doesn't want to get into the ring because he's been frustrated with Stax not going with the leader of the family lately. And then eventually Stax turns on Tony, and sign of things to come for the weekend. But I liked it. I thought it was well done. Stax, I think, is ready for a bigger role, and I think developmentally has kind of hit a ceiling for what he is at right now in this role. And I think now being, whether it is in charge, like on his own or in charge of the family or whatever the decision is, I think that is going to be really good to see how high he can really take it. And honestly, like Tony could go to the main roster tomorrow and I think he would fit right in. He has worked on that character well, and the wrestling has certainly come along as well. NXT Women's Championship. I thought off the top, Corey Graves saying on commentary that Jordynne Grace needs to do something big tonight. And I actually kind of agreed. I like, she's awesome. I'm a huge fan of Jordynne Grace, but it does seem like she has been a touch overshadowed by Julia and Stephanie Vaquer coming in all at the same time. And just to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know if she did enough in this one to kind of get that attention back on her a little bit more, but still some great moments in this match. Like the double blockbuster Doomsday device was absolutely wild. You're thinking Tower of Doom spot. It's a cool spot. It's going to get a whoa every time, but it is a little overdone, I feel like, at some points. And so you see that coming out, it's okay, whatever. And then she walks away with both of them. Like, holy shit, are you kidding me? And then to hit the blockbuster off of it, I thought it was great. I did like that Jada got her stuff in this match. I don't think she really felt like an equal in this. And how could you? You have people who have been world champions all over the world in this match, and her. And that's more dismissive of her than I want it to be. She is really talented and really good, and has a lot of pieces that if you fit them all together becomes a star. But it just felt like she was obviously the fourth in this particular match. But overall, this was a really, really good match. The crowd really got into it, and this match delivered. I thought the way that this all went, I thought you could have made this one the main event of the show. I think they really did deliver. Vaquer getting the win is the good call. I did wonder about Julia getting the win because of the heel turn and just kind of starting that one off with a big push with the championship. But Stephanie, and I'm with the news of the day going into Saturday that WWE has bought AAA. I do think that having her with a belt there also kind of helped things a little bit. So between Julia and Stephanie, there is no wrong decision. I think that you can have a really long feud with both of them, or if Julia is just up on the main roster on Monday, that works too. But either way, there's a lot of potential in the women's roster. Like I said before, I do think Jordynne Grace needs a bit more of the spotlight now. But Stephanie proving that she is one of the best in the world. Julia, ditto. Jordynne Grace is there as well. I just don't know if we've had an opportunity to prove it as much in this initial run here on NXT. And I think now that, because sometimes, and this was one of the things that I think kind of gets frustrating with how they handled Stand and Deliver this year, where everyone needs to get on this card. So it's only one match ends up being a singles match. It kind of takes away a little bit from some of them. And so instead of Jordan getting her own spotlight in a match with with Jada Parker, then okay, now she gets a chance to stand on her own and she gets her win or whatever. Then she just kind of gets lumped in with Stephanie and Julia, and instead of, okay, well, now she feels like she's on this level, it just kind of felt like she was a background piece a little bit in this. And so I do think coming out of this feud, and now that things kind of reset, we're done with Mania season, this is now a performer that I think should get a bit more of the spotlight down in NXT. And then we get to the main event for the NXT Championship. And these guys brought it. I thought that the build to this was a little bit lacking. But I did really like a lot of parts of this match. You have at one point a double stack suplex, again, looking like it's going to be like that Tower of Doom type of a thing. But then you have Oba, who suplexes Trick, who also suplexes Javon. Awesome spot. That was really, really cool. Javon, I mean, each guy had a spotlight on them to showcase themselves. And I thought Javon used his in a really entertaining way. There is no real ceiling to how good this kid really can be. Like, obviously, the athleticism is there. Obviously, like, you just see kind of how his game has developed in the last little bit. There is immense amount of potential in there, and he's obviously working hard at it as well. So there's something there with this kid for sure. Oba getting his usual power moves over as well. The one part I didn't really love, Trick pulled the referee out of the ring in a way, like, it didn't make a ton of sense because there was a kick out that had already happened. So there's Oba, I can't remember if he hit his spine, but what move that it was that brought this along. But he hits a big move. He is going for a cover. Maybe it was Javon who hit it even. Either way, there was a cover. And it's 1, 2, and a kick out. And you can see Trick is kind of on the one side of the ring. And then you're kind of looking at him like, okay, is he going to get this guy? No, he's not. Oh, shit. Oh, and then there's a kick out at 2. And then Trick pulls the referee out of the ring and docks him, which is like, would be one thing, but it's a triple threat match. So it's not like there's any DQs or anything anyway. So it didn't really, it didn't make sense to me. It didn't make a whole lot of sense to me at all. And it was to the point where I was wondering if someone was out of position, right? Like if that big move was supposed to happen on the one side where Trick was, and he just couldn't get there in time. So they still had to do a couple of other spots with the referee out or something. So it seemed like something was off there to me, either way. But still, this match does hit off an extra gear, and it got really, really fun. The crowd was fired up, and at each moment, each guy looked like they were going to win the championship. And that's kind of all you want from a match out of this. Oba retains. I was kind of wondering if this was going to be his swan song and he moves up to the main roster because he is main roster ready. But it looks like he's going to be sticking around for a little bit. I do wonder if this was it for Trick. We talked about it on the pre-show. It feels like that momentum has cooled significantly. And I feel like he has kind of accomplished everything that he can at NXT, and it is kind of starting to come across like he feels he's accomplished everything at NXT. It's still going to be cool if he debuts on the main roster and we get whooped that Trick right away. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, but it does kind of feel like this kind of treading water has taken a lot of the wind out of those sails. Overall, it was a pretty good show. It didn't reach the level of a takeover or anything like that, like where you would have takeover and it's okay, this was the best wrestling show on the weekend. This didn't have that. This was an entertaining show. I am happy I watched it. I think if I would have gone to Vegas, I would have been happy if I would have bought a ticket and gotten to it. I don't think I would have been stoked that it was at 10 in the morning. But I think it was an entertaining show, but it just does not reach the high levels that NXT used to have for shows like this. There was no dud, but there was nothing that really kind of jumped out to you or anything like that. So a good show, not a great show from NXT.